Is it going to pop up? There we go.
Got it.
I had
Got
to
it.
click that we were recording, so I think we are good. So let's kick it off and call the Foothills Neighborhood Association quarterly board meeting in process, I guess. We have a quorum of board members, and Casey, do we need somebody to take minutes since you're recording it, or we'll
Um,
just take some extra notes, I guess.
yeah, I mean, when I take minutes, they're like brief.
Okay. All right. Okay, the first thing is the approval of our minutes from June 10th, 2024. Has everybody well, I guess everybody did review those early on and made some revisions to them. We do need a motion to approve those minutes, please.
So moved.
All right. And a second, please.
Second.
Okay, Diana. All those in favor, just raise their hand. All right, the minutes from June 10th are approved. Next up is the treasurer's report from Steve. Do you need that put up on the screen, Steve?
If people would like, that'd be fine. I can talk to it.
Okay.
Hold on, let me get the right screen on here. Let's see, this is oh, sorry guys, slow.
There we go.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I would just go to the next page. Yeah, this is how we look as of today. It says 21, but it hasn't changed much since the 21st. We have a total amount of assets equal to 27,604. If you go to the next page. So this is a comparison of where we are up through the 21st of this month with the total year last year. And as you can see, our membership dues are down slightly. And everything else is pretty much the same. Interest earned will be a little bit more. It's not posted as of today because it matures at the end of this week, or actually on the 29th. And so that will be a total of about $640. Let me make sure I'm not lying to you. Yeah, $670.55 is what we'll earn on the CD on the 29th of September. So that's a little higher than what we had last year. In terms of expenses, the board meeting expenses of $212.14 is mostly a fee for the Zoom program. Let me get that in front of me. 1 second. Yeah, that Zoom program is costing us $173.78 for the year. And the rest of that expense for the board meetings are what we spent at the annual meeting there at the electric company. So we didn't spend much there at all. We had a social event, nice party. It was I hope everybody was there. It was really great fun. That cost us $702. And I would encourage anybody who has incurred expenses for that party, if you have not submitted that for reimbursement, please let us know. I think we've gotten everybody, but It just, if there's anybody else out there, still please let us know. Everything kind of lines up. We did not have a newsletter so far this year, so that's a 0. And that miscellaneous expense last year was a one-time thing that was not going to occur going forward. The neighborhood improvement, that is primarily for, let's see. That's, oh, just turned it off.
Probably signage and
The signage, it was that was 168, and then we gave $50 to I forget his name, but he has volunteered to go around and clean up all the graffiti, which is fantastic. So
yeah, actually that really looks nice. I don't know if you've been down on Weimer right there before the highway, and that box was totally painted and no more
Yeah.
graffiti. It actually looks pretty nice. So definitely something that we can do to continue to keep graffiti out of the neighborhood. And that was Dennis Johnson that we reimbursed for the paint supplies
right.
to do that. So thank you.
And I guess one would hope that if the people doing the graffiti see that we're painting over as quickly as they're putting up, that is somehow a discouragement. So you would hope.
Yeah, for sure.
Hopefully.
But so that's pretty much the report. I do need a board decision to renew the CD if that is the desire of the board. It is coming due on the 29th.
Mhm.
So I will need to go in before the end of this week and renew it if that's what the board wants to do.
Steve, I have a question. That the interest rate on that one, has that changed since, I mean, this is going to be what, the third rollover of that amount of money or no?
I think last year was the first year we really bumped up the CD. And this is the second year we've had that quantity, that amount. It used to be we kept a very large amount in the checking account. So I don't have what the interest rate will be today going forward. I'm going to guess it's going to go down. And it may not have gone down as of this Friday. So if we make a decision this week, we stand a good chance of locking in a higher rate than it will be over the next year. The interest rates are likely to drop over the next 12 months.
Okay,
And
Steve,
this
can
is
you
not
just
insured. This is not an insured CD, right? Or the FDIC, whatever that thing is.
Mm,
You
Is
know,
it? Or
it is through the bank.
when you say insured, are you referring to what our risk is of owning that
Yeah.
CD?
uh-huh.
Yeah,
Hmm.
that's a question I would have to ask the bank how that fits, and I have
Just
the document
curious.
here somewhere. I'm not sure the meeting wants to wait for me to dig all that up,
Yeah.
but I would guess for this amount of money, the bank will stand behind it.
Yeah, I would suggest that too. So,
I mean, they've been standing behind. I mean, it's been a couple of years now, but I think even when some other banks have failed for, I believe they were covering things that even they supposedly were not obligated to do so. But I'm
yeah.
just curious.
No, that's a great question. I'm sorry I
Mhm.
can't answer it, but I think that this particular type of investment and at this quantity of money, I don't know that there's a great deal of risk, but I will report back to the board when I find that out, and I can do that by tomorrow, probably.
Okay. Steve, do you want to make a motion that we renew this CD at whatever the going rate is? It'll probably be, I don't know,
Well,
somewhere in the high threes or 4%, something somewhere in that neighborhood.
right. The way I would make that request would, if there are no known plans for liquidity over the next 9 months, I think is what this will go out to. Then my recommendation would be that we renew it.
Mhm.
And so I'd ask the board to make a decision on that question. Do we renew or not?
Okay, I guess, do we want to just do a show of hands? All those in favor of renewing this CD, just raise your hand, please. Okay, it looks like we have enough votes to do that.
I will take care of that this week, and I'll also answer Casey's question and distribute that to the board.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Let's see here. Let's move on then to new business. We just have a couple of things down here as new business. We just wanted to let everybody know that we're definitely aware that road conditions in our neighborhood are quite bad. A lot of potholes, a lot of washboarding, and with all the heavy rains that we've had, there's actually gullies washing across the road. And I just wanted everybody to know that I did talk with Reynold Vasquez of Taos Public Works today, and he did verify that they are going to be grading our roads the week of September 30th. He said he did have it on the calendar a couple of times this summer. Other emergencies came up, and they just didn't have anybody to assign to the grader to grade it. He also he said that if necessary, they would haul additional material in, gravel, whatever, to take care of some of the washouts that are in the road. Some of them are quite severe and quite deep. So he is aware that that they may need some material to smooth out the roads a little bit. He did say that the last time that they did that was earlier in the spring. He said they actually did grade twice in the spring, and the only comment that he got back from someone in our neighborhood was complaining that they were grading it and making the roads too smooth, and there were more speeders. There were more people driving fast through the neighborhood. So it's a catch-22 there as to one way or the other. But they are definitely in pretty bad shape now. So hopefully they can get that accomplished next week to at least have them be a little bit better. The other items that that I had on there was the Phillips Street sewer extension. I didn't know really that I think everybody knew that that was going to happen. The biggest reason for that is I guess there is a rule within the city that if you're within 300 feet of the sewer end pipe, and I know that down on Phillips at the end there is a connection to the city sewer, and there were two failures of septic systems within 300 feet of that. So they decided they took some money on another project that was getting delayed until next year. They had funds available, so they just made a decision to actually go ahead and stub out that another 300 or 400 feet. That'll actually extend to two open lots and two properties, I guess, that are currently not connected to sewer down in that neighborhood. So that's the reason that construction is happening down in that section of our neighborhood. The other item, I guess, as far as new business, Casey had suggested that we add an activities page to the website, and we had some discussion early on that people thought that was a good idea, and not certain who, I guess, wants to volunteer to have their names posted along with activities that that folks may want to get involved in. I know the walkers, the bikers, there are a few that are active and have been active for quite some time, and that's good. And if we can, help those groups along to give our neighbors additional activities that they want to participate on, I do think that's a good idea. I just wanted to also point out that we've updated our committees page on the website. That is all up to date with current information, and we also have updated a Taos Community Involvement Contacts page on our website. That's really, really helpful. That if there's any group that you're thinking of joining, or if you have a neighbor that inquires and wants to join some group in Taos, that web page is out there, and it gives a lot of different organizations that are very worthwhile, that our neighbors are involved in, and please pass that information along so that we have more fun, I guess, in the neighborhood. I also wanted to highlight, I know there's been a lot of new folks moving into the neighborhood. I don't know if they've been reaching out to any of you or whatever, but we do also have a helpful hints page on our website. And one of the things that the helpful hints page has is the alarm system application registration requirement. That registers you with the local authorities with contact information. So if you're not home and your alarm goes off, they know that can be an alternate contact, a neighbor that may have a key so they can check, or it also gives your information so they can reach out to you to help, I guess, figure out what the alarm went off for. And some people know about that's a requirement, but new folks moving in may not. So just pass that along if you have anybody ask. Let's see here. We also had a couple of things. I'm not sure what this ants thing is that's on here. Can you highlight me, Casey, on what that is about?
I got an email, must have been 4 or 5 months ago. It was like in the springtime, from a neighbor on Sharp who, I guess her dog got into some ant mounds or something. They walk around the blocks and, hey, they go sniffing around. And I guess her dog had a bad reaction, got bitten or something as a small dog. And so anyway, she was writing to me like we needed to do something about the ants. And I was kind of like, I don't know about that. But I mean, it is a good point. And Jennifer, having seen it on the agenda, Jennifer Ellis sent me some information about how she dealt with this. Do you want to talk about it, Jen? Unmute.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, so I mean, we have seen a lot of ants. I also live on Sharp, and in the past, when we've had a rainy year, I can't remember. Gosh, it seems like it's about 7 or 8 years ago. Anyway, we have very successfully used. I'm hoping that we can encourage people, if they're looking for any kind of resources, to use something a little more natural. There are nematodes that can be used that will actually basically eat the larvae of ants and eventually decrease the population. I mean, they're all different species of nematodes that can help. Oh yeah, that's just the link I sent Casey, just one that I quickly found. But the kind that you use on ants in Texas are different than the kind that you would use on ants here, and probably depending on the type of ant. But anyway, if anybody asks, I mean, we have used them effectively here at our house. Yeah, it's just a good thing to maybe not put so many poisons in our world, if possible.
Okay. Well, thank you.
And I did
for
forward
the
it. I forwarded it to Catherine,
Oh,
your
good.
neighbor down a couple of houses.
Okay,
So
thanks.
Yep, I know we have a couple mounds in our yard. They're away from the house and out of ways, so we just leave them be, I guess. They seem to be happy, I guess, as long as they stay on that side of the wall.
Right.
Let's see here. Speaking of poisons, we do have an item that we just put on the agenda for today. Alexandra Goldman requested that we chat a little bit about radon. And if you want to, I guess, clue us in on the radon risk for us. And I also have a couple things to add when you're done. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Kurt.
Mhm.
And Jennifer, thanks for talking about the nematodes, because it's not only just like not wanting to put poison into the world, but put it directly into the water for those of us who are on well and septic. So anyways, speaking of environmental hazards, maybe everybody is really familiar with the risks of radon. I moved here like 3.5 years ago, and it wasn't something I was super familiar with. So just because of whatever is under the ground decomposing in New Mexico, we have a lot of radioactive gas that can come to the surface. And it seems like in this neighborhood that could be a risk. We had fairly high levels of radon in our home. So you can like order a test online and check the levels. And then you can get someone to come out to do like a remediation, which is like for us, like a remediation, like retrofit would be like they like stick a pipe under your house and then it like vents out to the roof. So I don't know, maybe I'm telling you all something you already know, but in talking about new people moving to the neighborhood, I know this wasn't something that I was notified about when we bought this house. And so, it can cause lung cancer. So I think it's just better for us all to decrease our chances of getting any type of cancer. It's the most common cause of lung cancer after smoking. So yeah, so I just thought, thinking about like welcoming new people to the neighborhood and just sort of wanting to orient people, that just seemed like something I don't know, maybe it goes in the helpful hints part of the website, or just something so that if people were previously unaware, that they know.
Mhm. Yep, that's a really good idea. We could probably add something about that to the helpful hints thing. Casey?
So when we bought our house in 1997, which is what, 27 years ago, we were required to do a radon test.
Mhm.
And I'm just wondering, when you bought your house, Alexandra, because
We
it's been a
couldn't,
couple of years you've been here now.
yeah, we couldn't find any documentation of it in any of our,
Huh.
I think we probably looked through it and then just were like, whatever, we can just order this test on Amazon and that's easier. So, I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
Actually, you can order them for free from the state.
I didn't know, and that's great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just ordered one and received this, and we can put something out there, a link to order these tests, and you just send it back to them, and they basically tell you what your readings are, I guess. I thought it was state law. I guess I don't know for certain when we bought our home 6 years ago now, whether we had a radon test here or not. I know most of the homes here are built on a slab. Ours actually has a good sized crawl space, so it's not as
Not as risk.
at risk. But I know that radon has been with us here in the Taos Valley forever. I mean, if you go out to the Pot Creek area, and I mean that's where they had 28 burials that they uncovered when they dug Pot Creek out by SMU across the road there. And they actually recorded some bone damage from radon because they lived right on the ground. They were basically some of the early ones were even pit houses. So it is definitely a risk in our neighborhood. And thank you for bringing that to our attention so we can take our learnings and have everybody be aware of them. Thank you.
Can I just say
Yeah.
one thing about that?
Yes.
So the risk is much higher for a slab home if it has a crack. I don't know anybody in our neighborhood or in Taos Valley, anywhere in Taos who do not have some sort of crack in. I mean, our earth shifts and moves a lot here. And so it's good to know that there's some sort of remediation that doesn't include, like where I grew up, what they would do was come in and try to lift the slab and re-level the slab and repair cracks, which is extremely expensive. And so And I'm glad to hear that there's some sort of like pipe remediation, like just somehow doing that. So I think that information will be very helpful shared. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yep, I know Kathy and Nick had remediation done on their home too. Yes, Casey?
So Alexander, if I might ask, did you like do a before and after you had the mitigation? Can I
Yeah.
ask what your level was?
Um, Initially it was like 14 or 16. I can't remember. So that's like pretty
Pretty high.
Yeah, yeah,
it's pretty high. I mean, the risks are they build over time. So, we lived in the house for like a year with that level, which is not great, but it's
Yeah.
it's probably fine.
yeah,
And then afterwards, I can't remember what it was. It wasn't zero, but it was like it was pretty close. We had to have two put in different parts
yeah,
of the house.
yeah.
Okay.
So
Mm.
after it was
Maybe
like
it was
whatever the level
because
is, it was below.
maybe we had ours tested because it was a spec house and had never been tested before. So maybe it has to do with I don't, who
Yeah,
knows?
I don't know. And maybe there was something that we just straight up missed, but I was, I was aware of it as an issue before. So I'd feel like when we were looking through the disclosures and all the documents, it would have triggered. So,
Yeah,
I can't say for certain it wasn't done, but it wasn't something I remember thinking about when we bought the house.
yeah. And then of course in the summertime when the windows are open, and all that stuff is
It's
totally
not as
different
big deal.
than when
Yeah.
wintertime flows in. But okay, that's good to know. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Um, let's move on to old business. Did you have any update, Alexander?
Wait, I have a question. I
Oh, I'm
think
sorry,
this belongs-
Beth.
You have other ideas how to spend some of our funds?
Oh, sure. Sorry.
We have a request from the welcoming committee. We had 3 new people on our list this month, and we would like to be able to purchase like an orchid or something to take to them with a note and Casey's the F&A card to let them know about our website and everything. And that would cost about $15 a person. We figure maybe 10 a year, Casey, I think, something like that. So we
Yeah,
just
I
like a
mean,
budget of about maybe 150 to 175 for the year, if that's possible from the board. So that's just our request. That's a good way to spend money.
Do we have any discussion from board members regarding this request?
I move we approve it.
I was wondering like why we would have to give it a cap of how much a year unless you were just giving a ballpark, Beth,
I'm
because I
just
mean, if
giving
we
a
have,
ballpark because I
oh,
don't
okay.
think
Yeah,
it's
I
a
mean,
lot.
I think just
just,
whenever a new person comes in and I believe obviously some people are moving into a house that's already built and some people are purchasing a piece of property and they're not going to be here,
we're not going to give them
So, yeah.
orchid yet.
Here's a question then for Casey. In your experience, how many people each year would be moving into our community, coming into a house? Is it more than 10?
All depends on the year.
I'm gonna say it's probably at least 10, at least in the last couple of years. And I don't know. I don't keep track of it that way, but that's a good idea. Maybe we should keep track like how many new neighbors moved in this. I'll start that next year.
Well, yeah, sure, but you would have a gut feel, and so if you're saying it's 10 to 15 people per year, then if the committee were to spend something between $10 and $15, it's certainly under $300 a year.
Yeah, yeah.
And it seems like a reasonable thing to make newcomers welcome to our community, make them feel like we're interested in having them.
Okay, well, I do have a motion from Steve to approve this expenditure. Do I have a second?
Second.
I'll second.
Diana, Chris, yep. Okay, looks like we have
Okay, thank you.
the motion, and everybody just raise their hands approving this expenditure for the upcoming year. It looks like we have it has passed. So yes, thank you, Beth.
Thank you.
I'm sure the new neighbors will love it. Let's see here. Other than that, Did we have an update on the trails? Was there anything, Alexandra, that you wanted to say on the trails or nothing new?
Yeah, a little bit of new something or another. So just I think most people are aware, but last year there was a whole process to try to think about trails in the Talpa foothills. There was like a process of choosing members, and there was 6 meetings over 6 months. It was kind of an involved process. Apparent, and then the Forest Service was going to take what came out of that process and put it through the National Environmental Review process. So they haven't done that yet. And it seems like maybe they're a little bit back to the drawing board, which, as someone who went through those meetings, which were sort of painful, I'm like, oh, that's a bummer. So they've been meeting with some of the folks from Talpa, and they want to have a meeting with some folks from our neighborhood sometime in October. And so I'll have more information at that time. Myself and Emily Matthew King and Greg Oberly are all people from our neighborhood or who own property in our neighborhood who were in that group. So we'll all be at that meeting. If you came to some of those meetings and you're interested in coming to that follow-up meeting in October, it's not sort of like an open free-for-all. But if this is something you're interested in and you were involved, send me an email, and I can loop you into those meetings. I can put my email in the chat. If you want, or if you just want to stay in the loop. So it's not really there's something going on. We just don't know what it is. And Casey, I know you spoke with them as well. I don't know if you have more than what I have.
I don't.
Yeah.
I just know that they met with Lori Bamberger. I think that happened, like what, 2 weeks ago, maybe, or 10 days ago, they met with her. And it sounded like it was a very small group, but someone more of her, yeah, representative of her thoughts. And I don't know what that was about.
Didn't
Alexandra,
my-
Greg Ober is my husband, so
Yes.
if you can want to loop us in, well, he'll be very involved.
Yeah. Thank you, Diana. I emailed him about this.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And he's definitely interested.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got an email from David Schultz about an October 10th meeting with the Forest Service. Is that this? Same thing about the bike trails?
Probably.
Might be,
Right.
but they didn't tell me that was the date. They were saying October 16th. So I don't know.
I don't know why.
I forget her name, Torres, the one who was Tammy Torres, does that sound? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I believe October 10th is probably likely that it is the one.
Yeah.
She did say it would be in October, and she also said that I would be part of her email group, that I could spread the word, or depending on what kind of meeting it's going to be. So,
Okay. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that seems right. I'm just not up to date, I guess.
right. And
Yeah.
I don't have the details.
Yeah. Steve, did you have a question too?
That was my understanding that they were not going to put any more new trails in Talpa, and they were just going to focus in our neighborhood.
That's not, oh, you mean sort of like they were gonna,
They were going to leave it as it was.
yeah, that was what a lot of people in the working group wanted, but right now it seems like they're kind of scrapping that whole conversation. So, I mean, unless you heard that from someone from Talpa recently, the latest I heard is it's just kind of back to the drawing board. So,
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
eventually
Tammy-
there's going to be something. It's just what.
yeah.
Yeah, the impression I got from Tammy was that the Talpa folks, the neighbors there, it wasn't going to work out to be able to get any kind of access. They were hoping something would happen somewhere around the reservoir. And I think the Forest Service is realizing that they're not going to be able to acquire that
Right.
access. So they're sort of back down. They're thinking about the El Nogal, which is up there across from Divisadero on the north end, and the Rio Chiquito, which was part of their original plan anyway, but there's some sort of nothing in between. But we'll see
Yeah.
what this October meeting is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine that they found an access point somewhere in between El Nogal and Rio Chiquito, but
Nothing new.
yep, nothing new. So sorry for spending 10 minutes talking about nothing new.
No, that's fine. We we're interested. I mean, some of us advocated for it and others against it. And, it's not going to die until the Forest Service says it's dead. So anyway, okay. Let's see here. Fire-wise, we had an update that Steve was going to share with us.
Yeah, we have a great committee of people, and unfortunately, we've been experiencing some challenges in scheduling, and that's probably because of the time of year we're in and what have you. But we've done some groundwork, met with a number of forestry professionals to talk about their views, and I think Kurt and Peggy met with Elizabeth Robinson of the USDA, and she gave those guys a ton of links, which he shared with the committee. We had at one of our meetings, Mr. Paul Mondragon, who was with the USDA Forest Service, and he's had a lifetime of firefighting experiences, and knows a tremendous amount of information about what firefighting and forestry management in northern New Mexico is all about. So he shared with us a number of things that were very interesting. We're currently talking with the Taos Soil and Water Conservation District. They have a cost sharing program which has been functioning now for quite some time. And this lady's name is Grace Powell. She's in charge of managing that program, and she's more than willing to work with the committee and try to come up with some strategies for our little community up here. I think the goal of the committee is to first develop a somewhat of a educational sharing of information about what Firewise is, what forest management really is all about, and why they would want to be involved. And I think the incentive is to bring more people into this program, simply because we're only as safe as our weakest link in our neighborhood. Fire spreads in uncontrollable ways, and usually because of very high winds. So if you have one area that is very high fuel, it's a risk to the entire neighborhood. So the more people in the FNA that we get involved with, understanding what Firewise and what general forest management is all about, the better off we're going to be as an entire community. So we're just getting started. This is a multi-year project, no doubt. And I'm really thrilled with the people that have come forward so far, and I hope we get more people involved in the committee. So we'll have some more concrete things as we move forward, but just it's good to let the board know that we're live and we are trying to push Firewise for the FNA forward in the next year or so.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Steve. And the group has really been digging in. I mean, Barry provided a ton of stuff, and we've been digging in and getting information from a lot of people. There are grants out there, and my hope is that eventually we could have some demonstration plots in our neighborhood, where if somebody wanted to do some fire mitigation on their property, as far as thinning and limbing, basically, creating that additional defensive or defendable space around their home and on their lots, that will we'll have additional information that I guess we can share. And if you know of anybody specifically that has an interest in anything to do with Firewise or fire mitigation on their properties, and they have some questions, please reach out to one of us, either Steve or myself, or Diana is also on the committee, that we can answer questions and maybe provide some information, some links and things like that to excuse me, to assist in their evaluation of what they can do with their properties. Okay, thank you. The only other old business. Oh,
I have a
sorry.
question about that.
Yes.
Are you guys looking at the acequias at all? Is there? Somebody was telling me who lives over near Mora that anyway, some acequias, that there's a risk of fire traveling through the acequias if they have a lot of fuel essentially within the acequia. I'm just wondering, because we have quite a few in our neighborhood that are pretty extensive, that run through a lot of properties.
Yeah, you're talking the arroyos, basically, correct?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm saying acequias. I mean the arroyos. Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I don't know. We've walked around the neighborhood quite a bit, and I mean, a lot of the arroyos are on private property, so we can't really, walk up them too awful much. But the ones that I've been looking at generally don't seem too bad.
Okay.
There were some folks throwing some, limbs and stuff like that in there, and I know that Kathy and Nick had some big concerns about that, and we really started looking around, and in my opinion, I guess I didn't think they were as in a bad a shape as people had thought. But if there's an area that there is a concern, that you're aware of, Jen,
No,
reach out. I mean, we do have some funds that we could maybe partner with somebody to get something done.
Oh no, I was just curious actually, because I'm kind of in between two of them, and so I was just wondering. But I think that the arroyos belong to the arroyos themselves. Do not belong to the property owner.
Yes, I believe you are correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just curious. It just we were thinking about it the other day when we were walking.
There is two schools of thought on the arroyos. There are a number of people who have looked at putting brush inside the arroyos to reduce or minimize erosion, and at some level, that's a really reasonable goal. But when you put a lot of material in the arroyos, more than a fire concern is a flooding concern, because as the water comes down the arroyos, it hits a lot of the debris that might be in there, and it builds up, and then pretty soon you have flooding out over areas where you don't really want to have flooding. So I think that's a neighborhood concern. It's a little different than fire abatement. And I know that there are a number of people in the area that have the similar concerns. Some of the long-term goals for the Firewise Committee, which I should share, is to come up with programs that FNA could actually fund if the board chooses to do so. Community chipping events is one idea. Another is just a general education. There's so much material out by so many different agencies that have these concerns over fire protection that we really should look towards having a Firewise page on the FNA website that we can then steer people to walk them through what are the concerns over managing the forest. And I think that another great people move here because they want to live in a forest. The reason they chose their houses here is because they're in the middle of trees, and that's why they're here. And so there is a little bit of an uphill climb about educating people why it's important for them to cut down those trees, or at least a portion of them.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I think the committee can really work towards is an educational or just a sharing of available information of why it's important to limit the number of trees in these high elevation desert forests, and that's really what we have. Where this is a low rainfall forested area, and there are too many trees because since people have moved in here in great numbers, we've stopped every fire that may start. And consequently, there are just too many trees. And Firewise is about fire protection, yes, but also good forestry practice. And that's the goal of this committee. And I'm really hopeful that our committee members will start working together, trying to come up with some great communication pieces that help us convey what the opportunities really are. So that's it for me. Sorry.
Yeah. Thank you, Steve. I know I'm really excited about it. I'm happy to be a member of the committee along with Diana and Barry and others. It's something that we need to be concerned about, and we'll learn more about it. And as we learn, we will definitely share something or things that can benefit our entire neighborhood. Thank you. Other than that, we just had in Higgins Groves, he has been replacing some signage. We also got some other signage that has been put up in the neighborhood to help take care of poo in the neighborhood, I guess. Or I don't know if anybody's noticed is that getting better or worse or whatever, but we just, I guess, need to, watch people. And if there's some offender, I guess, ask them if that's appropriate, I guess. Other than that, the only other thing that is really on our agenda, other than action items, I think we really don't have a whole lot of action items other than follow up on the CD renewal. And we'll continue to meet and get together on our various committees and welcome folks into the neighborhood and find out more about what we can do with Firewise. We do have a requirement for a meeting yet the last quarter of this year. So I would suggest probably first part of December in that neighborhood, or if somebody has other ideas as to when we should try to hold the next quarterly meeting, please share that out. And if anybody has any agenda items or any concerns that need to be addressed, please reach out to any of the board and ask. We're definitely, that's what we're here for, is to help solve problems and inform our neighbors of various contacts that we've been gathering, I guess, over the years. Any other discussion from any other board member or any other attendees? Steve, yes.
I have a question, particularly for Jennifer or anyone in her neighborhood. How's the tailings, the asphalt tailings working out on the road?
Well, good and bad. When there's a pothole, there's a pothole. You feel it a lot more in your car. And we noticed, like, we have one neighbor who put in a cable line or internet line that crosses our street. And so there's a big old divot. So while they're putting them in nicely, the repairs on them, or like maintenance or how that's handled to fill something in, is not done. So they harden, which is nice. And in the winter, it was really great because, of course, the ice, we just didn't really have much of an ice buildup as we normally did. But it's kind of a good and bad situation. If they were being more maintained as an asphalt road would be, because that is what they kind of turn into, it would be fantastic. But unfortunately, I guess it's not in the budget, or the town's not doing it. So
Yeah.
good and bad. Is that your
Yeah,
feeling, Kirk?
Yeah, I definitely, we walk the neighborhood all the time, and your comment about the black asphalt helping to melt ice off the road is perfect. I've driven over some of those divots and potholes in the road, and yes, they are worse.
Yeah.
I guess I think we should still encourage the city to put some of that stuff down. It
Yeah.
does control dust a lot, and
Um,
it's better. And after a while, you get to know where the potholes are and you drive around them.
just
Um,
like on the regular roads, right?
just like on the regular
Yeah.
roads. Yeah. So
Yeah.
anyway. Mhm.
They are excellent at the dust, keeping the dust down, though.
Yep. Yeah. So
Thank you.
yes, Nancy. You're muted. You're muted, Nancy. You're still muted. Down on the bottom left. If you move your cursor down there, it'll pop up. There you
Okay.
go.
Okay, sorry, this is Barry's computer and it's not like mine. So, one thing about the roads, Upper Weimer Road, the east side of the street is county, and we are in the town and the line runs down. So a lot of times the grading, it stops. It doesn't come down here. And I don't know if the town has an agreement to do all the grading or if anybody knows about that, because it's pretty bad and we don't often get graded.
Mm-hmm. I never thought about that. We could reach out to Reynold Vasquez of the Public Works. We can reach out and maybe ask him that question and provide some feedback.
Yeah, that'd be great. And also where where Weimer comes out to the bypass gets really bad. And I think technically that may be county as well.
Mm-hmm.
There's some lots kind of on the north end that are actually in the county.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we can reach out or I can reach out to Reynold and see what he has to say and get back to you.
Oh, that'd be great. Thank you very much.
All right. Yeah, Steve?
I just want to make one comment about dirt roads. One of the problems you have with dirt roads, if people are going fast, you're going to wear out the dirt roads more than they're designed. A lot of the washboarding is caused by people accelerating from a stopped position, and I don't. That might be something that the association can address by putting up association signage to slow down speed limits or whatever. I have no idea what we can or cannot do, what would make the county upset or not. But the biggest problem we have with the dirt roads is people go way too fast. And a lot of them are just the contractors who come up here to work on these homes who are busy trying to get from one job to the next. Signage may slow them down.
Sorry, not optimistic about it being
Wishful
able to.
thinking.
Yeah, I'm not either, but
Too bad, but
yeah, Susan Lamb, yes.
This may be a crazy idea, but how about speed bumps?
The city really discourages speed bumps.
Okay.
I know that they exist.
Yeah.
But they don't exist if you look in the city.
Okay.
I don't know if there's any in the city proper. As far
there
as
used to be
speed
some on Bird Street, and that was probably 20 years ago, and they're no longer
They've
on
all
there.
been
Yeah,
removed.
emergency vehicles and police and ambulances stuff. It just
Okay.
fire trucks. Yeah, it's a problem.
Yeah, it's very doubtful that, Steve, I think your road is private. You could put them on your road, but no one goes up there that way very often.
Yeah.
So
We have other problems on our road.
there you go. Any other business we need to take care of? If not, oh yes, Casey.
Well, I'm just thinking that when you emailed me a couple of weeks ago to say, hey, it's time to have a meeting and pulling it together, I just assume we're having a Zoom meeting. I mean, when I first came on 10 years ago, we were getting together at someone volunteered their house and we actually had wine and appetizers and desserts and stuff like that. And it was kind of fun, but I personally like doing Zoom just because I think it's better efficiency for people's time. And we need to have more social events that aren't meetings maybe, but I just want to make sure that it's okay with everybody that we're using Zoom. It's just a lot easier to show screens and share stuff.
Yeah, I do see heads nodding. I mean, I'm totally for the Zoom
Yeah.
meeting. I mean, our annual meeting, I think, is important to try to get together. And that worked really, really well this last year. I believe probably we can continue to do that. But yeah, as far as other meetings, Zoom works. I think in the COVID times, we got used to it, and I think it's a good thing. I don't know. I like seeing everybody's faces too, and chatting. But we can always maybe have additional social events. That's a great idea, Casey.
Just don't have the annual meeting on the Sunday of daylight savings.
Okay
Last
then.
time. The door did not open.
Oh yes, that was kind of frustrating, but it did finally open, so we got lucky.
Details.
All right. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Everybody in favor, raise your hand, please. It looks like we are adjourned. Thank you,
And
everybody.
bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.